A lot of times when you work with special children, what you notice is there are some challenges that they come with from the beginning. And then you notice because they had the challenge, everybody around them is so nice to them and taking care of them all the time. And there is some conveniences that get developed. And then you see they start forming some bad, very, very, very bad habits. So you have to understand there are two things going on there. There is the original problem and then the problem that the ecosystem created for them. And I think you have to address both of them separately.
I have a sister who's autistic, and I want to know if the procedures differ from what we do, and if they do, how can I learn them?
Okay, sure. So, first of all, I want to start with a disclaimer that special children require special help from special people who have a special license, which I don't know the exact norms for it, but you have to go through it yourself. But having said that, there are some things about special children that you can easily handle. A lot of times when you work with special children, what you notice is there are some challenges that they come with from the beginning. And then you notice because they had the challenge, everybody around them is so nice to them and taking care of them all the time. And there is some conveniences that get developed. And then you see they start forming some bad, very, very, very bad habits. So you have to understand there are two things going on there. There is the original problem and then the problem that the ecosystem created for them. And I think you have to address both of them separately. The original problem, if you have to address it, the way I would go about it is I would drop that normalization called autistic children. And when parents have in the past brought children like that, I just tell them, see, I don't know any of these things, so it doesn't help to label them that way to me because I don't understand that. Instead, if you could tell me, what behaviors do you see them do that you don't want them to do? Now you get sensory specific observations. So let's say they say, this person is agitated and always moving and restless. You can work on that. You could do a reframing and say, is there a useful intention to be agitated and restless, to continuously keep moving your hands and legs while you're sitting or having conversation at all the times? And then do a reframing. Or so they might say, when someone speaks rudely to them, the person starts crying. Maybe you could do an alphabet game. So the question to ask is, what specifically do you see this child do behaviorally that you don't want them to do, you don't want her to do, you don't want him to do? The other question that you can ask is, what is the child not doing that other children can do? Like one mother said, oh, he's unable to spell. And it is very interesting. So there's a child who couldn't spell. I kept all the label aside and I was just looking at it as spelling challenge. When you teach people to spell, the easiest strategy, I think Robert Dills came up with this first, and the easiest strategy to help someone spell is to help them visualize the spelling. Because some languages, like Hindi and Marathi and Tamil, are isomorphic. The pronunciation and the script are one-to-one. But languages like English are not isomorphic. They don't match one-to-one. And so when you try to sound it phonetically, it doesn't work. Even when people teach phonetics, if you notice, and you ask them a spelling, you ask, what is the spelling of encyclopedia? And they go like that. When people move their head up to the left, that means they're making pictures. And so good spellers, they have an ability to make a picture of the spelling, at least for English language, and they can see it. Then it's an unconscious process. They can see the spelling, and it feels right. If you change an alphabet over there, it feels wrong. So the way you teach children who cannot spell is you trick them to visualize. And an easy way to trick, which Richard did, is you write down some of these words, like let's say you write apple and you say A, P, P, L, E, and then you take one of those alphabet and you write each of the alphabet in a different color. So you show that thing to the child, and then you hide it, and then you ask the child what color was the alphabet L. Now, what it forces the child to do is they have to go back and remember the picture to tell you what color it is. So now you're creating a circuitry, you're creating the innate ability for the child to visualize the written spelling. So you write it big and you do this 50 times, 100 times, and after that you ask them what is the spelling of apple, they'll go APPLE. And so I did this with this child, and I've done this with other children, and it has worked so beautifully. And I did this with this child, and it didn't work. So Haruni and I are sitting there, and when it doesn't work, what most people would do? Oh, that is why he's dyslexic. Instead of thinking, maybe I missed out on something. So Haruni and I are thinking, what is going wrong? And then Haruni noticed something, and I forgot what that word was.
League.
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 And the word was league, and every single time he spelled it wrong.
LEAG, he would say.
He spelled it wrong perfectly, with 100% accuracy, the same way every single time. So Haruni and I went, oh, that means he remembers. The fact that it's not random and it's a precise spelling means it's random. So we asked him, what's the spelling of league? And he said LEAG. And then I asked him a question. I said, what if I told you that the spelling of league is not LEAG, it is LEAGUE? He said, I would feel very sad. And then I understood what the problem was. I asked him, why is that? He said, because that's wrong. So then, I didn't want to teach him this, I didn't know how much he could understand the isomorphic matching. So what I told him is I told him a funny story. I told him once there was a fat, drunk old man. And obviously he and I built a lot of rapport. And I told him there was once a drunk, fat old man, and he took the English dictionary and he changed all the words so that they're spelled wrong. And then I said, but we have learned this for so many 100 years right now. By the way, I don't think I made up that story anyway. If you look at the English words and their story and the spelling, and and then I said, but now for hundreds of years we've learned the wrong spelling. So when you talk to others, you need to spell the way they understand. And that was it. And then we had to just put him in an altered state, and I told the unconscious, now make a commitment to relearn the spelling the way others have learned it, even if it is wrong. And I said there are some languages like Hindi and Marathi and Tamil and other languages where the spelling is uncorrupt and it's still, you could use your current. And it worked for him. So I don't know if you thought of this child as, that variation of dyslexia that they said he had. If you thought of the child as that, you're trying to solve that condition. But if you just thought of it as a learning process, how do other children learn that he isn't doing? Or what is he doing differently from what the other children did? Then you would be able to find exactly what's going on and you would be able to fix it.
Thank you.
Nope. You're welcome.
We never like to complete our video without giving you the opportunity to personally evolve and launch your legacy. Imagine for a moment, what would it feel like when you are impacting the world positively so much and enhancing your business, your health, your family, and legacy? All of this together simultaneously, continuing to grow leaps and bounds, fast and smoothly. If you've got the right motives, we believe Antino and Haruni will be able to help you launch your legacy in compressed time. Get excellence installation-based personal evolution and keep making a difference. starting with yourself.